We seem to. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is May 20th. It is a Friday, and it is not 11 a.m. Eastern. It is 9 a.m. Eastern. We're doing this at a different time simply because I'm not at the Eastern time zone. I actually am in the Central time zone, and it is 8 a.m. here. And Ruth so nicely just acquiesced and decided she would do it at 7 a.m. where she is in Colorado. Ruth, thank you so much for coming on. Ruth Catchen, great
Thank you.
realtor, coach in Colorado. Thanks so much for coming on. We're going to go to a quick video, and we're going to be right back to get started with our broadcast today. If I can find it, video.
Thank
Where is
you.
it? See, I told you I make mistakes.
Real estate agent, are you looking to acquire clients consistently so you can grow your business and your income to live a great lifestyle? This is Dave Finale and the RE Skill Builder podcast.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dave Finale. That's Ruth Catchen. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF episode 206. 206. This is actually in a row, 203 weeks. We've done 3 extra shows. I'm really excited about this. We're coming up on a total of 4 years in a few weeks, so I'm real excited about that. And today I have with me a really great person that we have met. We met on social, on Instagram, and Ruth has a coaching business. She's a mentor, and she's done a lot of different things, and we're going to talk about that. So Ruth, thank you so much for accommodating the broadcast and being on the broadcast today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So you've been in the business for a while. You've also started with another career. You had a couple of other careers and stuff. But before we get into that, Ruth, I have to ask you the question I ask everybody when we start the show, and it's real critical to the beginning of the show. And that question is, what does TGIF stand for?
Thank goodness it's finale.
You are right. It is thank God it's finale. How about that?
Oh, thank God. I was yes. I. What does that mean? I've listened before. That's what it means.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you getting that answer right. So let's dive into your career and where you started and how you got to real estate and to be a coach and how you do things differently. So tell us how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Well, as I tell everyone that I coach and in classes that I teach, this is my 3rd career. I had, I'd say 25 years of a career as a musician and performer, and I have 2 degrees in music. And for a lot of personal reasons, moved to Colorado, had kids to raise myself, so went back to school, got a master's in curriculum and instruction so that I could combine music, the arts, and education, and started working on STEM and STEAM curriculum, which I did for a while. I'm going to make myself sound like I'm 100 years old by the time. So I'm leaving out how many years I did whatever from now on. Anyway, and after that, I moved up to the Denver area, and I realized that doing curriculum and instruction, I was never around any people, and I thought, okay, it's for different reasons, time for another change. And someone I knew had a real estate license, and I thought, I might like that. I meet people, see houses. I've always thought I had just sold the house that I had lived in for 17, 18 years. And what I realized was it was like one of the biggest things, although it was not my first home that I bought, I realized that your house is kind of everything. It's your life and your memories, and that, became very important. So I thought, I want to help people do that. So I got a real estate license, went from brokerage to brokerage, looking at how to do this. And because of my education background, I realized nobody's helping people or teaching them or guiding them or coaching them on how to do this. They call people mentors, but the mentors don't really mentor. They're active agents trying to do their own business, and if they throw you a bone here and there or whatever. So I decided to figure out what was needed in various forms of a brokerage. And what I did to learn the business was a lot of other things. I did inside sales. I worked showing homes. I did transaction coordinating. I've tried to do everything I can so that I have a comprehensive knowledge and understanding of what is the business, how does it work, how do you have to know, what all is it that you have to know, and it's actually a pretty big learning curve. And so for me to say that, I mean, I'm never afraid of a challenge learning wise. So, anyway, I've been doing that for a while now, and had the opportunity to create this course called the 99 Steps, Understanding the Complete Real Estate Transaction Process. And so from that, I really created this continuing ed credit course that helps people do that, whatever stage of the business you are, and love the social media and all of that, stuff. So anyway, that's kind of it. And here I am.
And here you are, right? So we talked briefly before we came out in the air. We were talking about. I'll just dive right into one of the things, because we talked about social media, and that is one of the things that you have been getting heavily into recently, as I have been working on and teaching and learning more about engagement and stuff. And I think that no matter what position you are in this business and what you want to do, and really in life, I think it's really important. What do you feel about the importance of how you've done things and how it can work in with social media?
Well, I think it's everything, really. I have a couple of opportunities now, and I'm thinking of using my class and recording it like on a Kajabi or one of those platforms to do, and then integrating it with real live coaching with me, so that you get both, because I think people need that as well. I think just listening to a course, you can do too much autopilot there, and it isn't the same as talking to someone saying, what's your pain points? What are your problems? What can I help you with? And social media, I think, is really everything. To tell you the truth, when I started out doing STEM and STEAM curriculum, social media was a little bit newer, and I built an international following through social media. That's how I got all my work. Most of it was out of Colorado. It was all over the place. And people found me that way, and I promoted myself that way. And so I certainly believe in it. And I had a lot of really distinguished people kind of surprised that I could convert them, that they should use social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever at that time. Now, Instagram is much bigger than it was then, and we have TikTok. We didn't have TikTok, and all that. But I think people need to pick a platform, start with one, make a good presence known, start to create a following and make connections, and then branch out to other types of social media. And I think that's how we connect now in the world, especially the pandemic did that. We connect virtually, so got to go with where people are. That's it.
Well, yeah, as far as connection is concerned, I've always believed that we have to. And when I had my brokerage, I had people yell at me because I wanted out of print so bad from years and years ago, before everybody else wanted out of print, because I knew it was a waste of money. So what I had to do is I had to develop the three methods, the three types of people I needed to hit. I had to hit high tech, low tech, and no tech. And I had to develop a way to do that. And there's a way to do that without going into print, which is a discussion for another day. But it all works to everything that we do in everything that we do. So you mentioned the pandemic, and you had to make some changes for yourself as that went along when you're getting into real estate, and then as that moved along in the pandemic. Tell me about that transition for you, because a lot of people are still having trouble with that transition because they went in, now they're getting out, and it's like, I talk about this from 05 to 08, because in 03 and 04, real estate agents turned into order takers rather than advisors and consultants. And the agents that was doing like 20, 30, 40 deals a year went down to 2, 3, and 4 deals a year because they didn't know what they were doing. So the transition of going into the pandemic and out of the pandemic, talk to me about what you had to do and how it worked for you.
Well, at the time when the pandemic hit, I was working for Redfin showing homes, and I did that. I didn't limit myself. I was going over the entire Denver metro area, which sometimes meant driving 150 miles a day, which is pretty easy to get sick of. So that was part of it. So I was suddenly banned from doing that. I couldn't go out, couldn't whatever. So I knew a couple realtors not in Redfin, and decided, hey, I was working with them on their social media and stuff, because a lot of realtors need help with that between the time and the just the ability to do it right, saying the right thing and engaging people in the correct way. I have another thought about that too. So it's hard to do social media for someone else, really, especially at this point. But anyway, so I did all her transactions, and I got a couple other realtors. I did all the contracts. So I basically, for whatever it's worth, there were some online courses, and she helped me a little bit, not a lot, but I taught myself how to do all of this, and I started making other connections. So what that did is I read everything that I can read about real estate, how to do things, what's right, what's wrong, etc. And that's how I evolved into creating this course and the ability to do that. So I adjusted. I became like at home like everyone else, but I knew how to use the phone. I knew how to use Zoom, and on we went.
Right. So as you move forward, I mean, that was a great transition because you decided nothing was going to stop you, so you had to do all the other things. And I know it sounds very very typical these days, but honestly, there's a lot of agents out there that did not transition well. And I think it all goes back to what you're actually teaching as far as going through something. But I want to ask you about the STEM and STEAM and what that's all about. Explain that to me and how you've made it to work in real estate.
Well, STEM means science, technology, engineering, and math. STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So what it is really a basic type of curriculum that integrates all of those subjects together, so that when you teach someone, you just don't teach the science of it, the math of it, the engineering of it. You put it all together, usually project-based, so someone learns to make something or do something. So the first thing I did, this was actually before the pandemic and before Redfin and all of that, I actually created what I called STEAM for real estate. And so I would talk about the science of real estate, the technology of real estate, the engineering of real estate, the arts of real estate, and the math of real estate. And I created different Facebook posts and things on my website and everything. And I don't know that it connected too much with everyone, but clearly, first of all, real estate is a financial services profession. That falls under STEM. So you have to understand those things. Maybe a lot of people don't, but it would be nice if they did. So I took the different aspects of science, what's involved in the science of real estate, like radon testing, for example, engineering, structural, all those things, arts, aesthetic appeal, the way the design and all of that. So that's how, and math, of course, is obvious how, you need money and you need to calculate some things. So that's how I put it all together, and I related. And even now, when I teach about mindset and growth mindset and what's my why and all of that, I bring up problem solving as the key to do everything, because that's a STEM based protocol. And what I do with the problem solving is I just ask, how do I get clients? How do I market to these clients? What did I do? How am I going to do it? Is it going to work? It's basically goes through the engineering design process. And I teach that as a problem solving method. And what I equate it to, and I think I've told you this before, is when a person's driving down the street and their check engine light goes on in the car, your mind immediately goes through all this stuff. What could there be? Oh, maybe it's this, or this. So should I try this? Oh, it wasn't that. So then I'm going to do something else and try that. If that didn't work, what it is. So I think as realtors, my goal is to help real estate professionals, financial industry professionals in general, up their level of professionalism in the business and how they do what they do. And this, by having a problem solving process and a method and a system, you can do that. And I think that's much better than kind of a sink or swim version of the whole thing,
Talk to me about the mindset portion of all of this and how you work on that. How are they going to do this? How are they going to do that? Talk to me about the mindset portion.
Well, I get into, that's where my background as a performer really, I think, helps me. But I bring up all the things like method acting, your body language, how you learn to talk to someone and practice scripts. And so in other words, what I tell people is, instead of just memorizing some script like, hi, this is Ruth and I'm a blah, blah realty and I'm going to blah, blah, I have people go into their heart and head. I think of learning as a two-phase thing. If you're in your heart, you're thinking about the emotional, very difficult sometimes things that you have to say to someone. Could be about price, could be you're trying to sell the house of someone who lost their husband or is getting a divorce, all these things. So if you experience that yourself by yourself, and how you will talk and think about that, your brain then critically thinks and processes that to your mind. And so then when you have these conversations, you can have them. It's almost like pushing a button. I then still have the body language. I have the empathetic look on my face and in my eyes, but I'm not going to cry or be unable to think because I'm so emotional. And I teach this, and it's in a short, I mean, it's a very short time frame. In order to really do that,
Right.
it takes more than that. But that's where I talk about the mindset, and also the what's my why, the really true motivation of why you're doing this. And so many times it's for people, so the what is the money, and it isn't always about money. Providing for one's family, however, is a why.
Yep.
And in order to do that, sometimes you have to make money. But I think I constantly say that you need to bring to people what you can do for them. People don't care how many awards you've won, how many houses you've sold, how many miles you ran that day, whatever it is. They care about what you can do for them. And that's how you have to put it. And I think that's you hear lots of coaches teaching that, but the actual doing of that is another story. So it takes some depth and self, looking into yourself and all that introspection. And I don't think that's always so easy. And sometimes people are afraid of it, so that's, what I think I offer is I won't let you not do it. That's all.
That's great stuff. I love what you just talked about. You went from the artistry of method acting and acting through your career of music and everything else, and looking at that. And the other thing is really, really important that sometimes we all forget. I forget. I've been taught it by the greatest, and his name is John Cheplack. He taught me that a lot of times we need to get out of our minds and into our hearts, right? And that's exactly what you're talking about. You talked about not only be empathetic, but be empathetic with them, not crying or anything like that, but not be a salesperson in that moment, and go out there with the empathy to actually produce a relationship, which is, it's just what we're doing anyway, right? So one of the things that I've learned recently is that the relationship needs to come first, not the business. So many agents think about, I'm going to get the business, I'm going to get the listing, and then I'm going to be their best friend. That's a lot of crap. It needs to be build the relationship first. Honestly, if you look at it properly, you got to build the rapport and be in rapport before you can get to the business.
Well,
you agree with that, right?
Right. Because how the whole thing is know, like, and trust, right? So
Yep.
if you don't build that relationship first, you can't do that. I mean, when I first started teaching this class, I talked a little bit about, the head and the heart, and because I believe in all that. But
Right.
I finally, after a number of months of doing it, decided to share my story about what did this for me quite a few years ago, and made me realize what my why really is, and how I connect the STEAM and the STEM and whatever it is I'm doing. Was the edge effect. And I tell this edge effect story, and you're looking at me like, what is the edge effect?
No, not at all.
Oh, do you know?
No,
I mean,
go ahead, please. I'm interested.
okay. The edge effect is the place in our environment or biology where two ecosystems meet. So in that place, there's the most fundamental beauty and diversity in life, and plants and animals and everything, such as the Amazon rainforest, mountains meeting the ocean, like in California, those kinds of things. Even in Colorado here, where we have very flat plains to the east, and as you go west, when you land in the airport in Colorado Springs, you see the Pikes Peak and the mountains. It's really, the first time I ever did that, it's really like, wow, there's just not many things like that. So how I learned this was about a talk that Yo-Yo Ma gave for the Nancy Hanks Lecture for Arts and Public Policy at the Kennedy Center. Probably could be 10, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And he talked about the arts, how they integrate with STEM, and how we need to bring this all to the future for students to learn and be better at their work and their jobs and all of that. And I'm giving you a very short version, but there's a video out there of Yo-Yo Ma and the street dancer Lil Buck, and they've done this in quite a few places, and a bagpiper performing the Swan from Carnival of the Animals, Camille Saint-Saëns. And it's so unbelievable, the mixture of the different kinds of media. And to me, that was like, this is it. I know what my edge effect is now, where I can bring the most to the world and be a better person. And again, I go about the same thing. My kids would probably tell you this with the eye roll, maybe not the eye roll so much anymore, but that I've always said, have something to say and say it, be the best that you can at what you do, and leave the world just a little bit better for your having been here. And that's it. And that's it for me. And so that's what, it doesn't really matter so much what the medium is. In other words, I now have real estate as the medium, but my message is the same.
So the edge effect in real estate, explain that a little bit to me so I can understand that better, because I don't get that completely.
Okay. Okay, the edge effect in real estate is where I come from, having performance background. I have 2 master's degrees. I've been around the education world, did curriculum and instruction and all of that stuff. The way to learn something, being open to learning and growth mindset in
Right.
real estate, which is there's a lot to learn. And if you're not open to that, or you're afraid of it, then you can't do your job as well. If you just kind of go for the one target, like the sale, you miss a whole lot of levels of people and what you're doing for the world. So, maybe I've kind of created it as, maybe I'm making more of it than it is, but that's just the way that I view doing this. I mean, for some people, it's just it's a conquest. I'm going to get this, listing and go do it and whatever. And I just think that's old school. I think a lot of people now don't want that. They want you to care about them. They want sincere, authentic relationships. So if that makes more sense, that's where my edge effect is, and who I am meeting the business world of real estate.
Yeah, it makes an awful lot of sense. And the way I'm seeing it, as you said, it's not a conquest. You have to build a relationship before you can get to that. You have to show that you care. And one of the greatest lines I've ever heard, I've used it a lot lately, is when someone cares, no one's going to care about you till they know you care about them. I'm not sure, that's not the real quote, but that basically is the idea. They're not going to care about you till they know you care about them. That's how it is first. And it's always going to be on our responsibility as a real estate agent, broker, whatever, to go out there, and whether it's a mentor or coach as well, just so you care about them so they can care about you and want to even listen to you, right? Because a lot of times when we're going and we're trying to, let's face it, our license says salesperson, right? So
yeah, mine doesn't, but that's okay. In Colorado, we don't have that, but that's okay.
Okay, so most licenses, well, basically you get in the business you're in sales, okay?
Right.
And for that, it's basically, people think it means sales equals cheesy. That's a lot of crap too, because it does not mean cheesy. To me now, sales equals caring to help them to what their needs and desires and wants are, right? So, I mean, it's how we have to live our lives better. And it's also the way that I believe the real estate industry needs to transition into being more of that. We always talked about it being that consultant, but we got to be more. Look, honestly, we are consultants. We're babysitters. We're a lot of different,
all those things.
We're a lot of different things, but I believe it's because of the reputation and what we have done in the past. I mean, we have proven that we're not that great going into and out of times which would be considered not perfect, right? 05 to 10, and and then now into pandemic, out of pandemic, all that stuff. And there's a lot of uncertainty out there, which uncertainty means what? Opportunity. And we need to learn about the different opportunity and how we're going to be able to our businesses. Talk to me about, you've taken all this stuff and put it into coaching and mentoring. Talk to us about some of the different points.
Let me tell Google to stop. Google, stop. Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's
It's
okay.
reminding. I have it on Do Not Disturb, but I guess it's too important. It's not.
That's okay. Talk to me about
Mad at me.
the process that we've used to deal with pain points that agents have in their business.
Okay. Well, I see it. First of all, everything that you said, excuse me. I'm just going to try to.
Sure.
You have Adam Zoom. You have one reminder.
It's actually telling me to meet with you.
Oh.
So I did anyway. I see real estate as a service business, which is kind of what you've.
This is the story of how a tall.
I'm sorry.
Went on to become a self-confessed legend.
Okay, I turned it off twice. That ought to work now. Anyway, I see real estate as a service-oriented business, which is what you said, which is not exactly in contradiction to sales, but I think sales has evolved as what people want and wanting more authenticity and all that stuff. So,
right.
Again, this was part of the process as I developed doing this, because I think everybody's in sales, because if you don't sell yourself, no matter what it is you do, if you're a physician and I go to you and I've got something wrong with me, and you don't sell yourself that you really can help me, or no, what good are you? I'm not gonna go back. So right. We're all selling ourselves all the time. So right. That's one thing. But there's a lot of things. So what I decided to do was take a chance and get opinionated about the way I thought this should all go. And I advocate in my class, no paper, don't print stuff, all this stuff. And I know that there are people who do it. For goodness sakes, I know people who still print out the whole contract, 20 pages and look at all this. And I try to explain why that's not needed and necessary. I did my class this week, and someone asked me, they said, do you keep a paper version of every of all the contracts from the transaction? I said, no. Why would I do that? So, people don't, I decided that I would make as much of an influence as I can in this business to raise the level to being what it should be in 2022. And things have to change. As you said, every business is always in transition. This one is going to always be about people. It's right. Always going to be about people. So anyway, that's what I try to teach, that it's about people and caring about their lives. Sometimes you're a therapist, like you said. I've been a therapist, especially in showing homes, man. I don't know, right. You definitely become a therapist sometimes. And I've had people, my favorite story is this one guy. I showed homes to his wife. They were getting divorced, living in the family home together, selling that home. She bought another house. The house, their together house was going to close. This guy looked at 40, 50 houses. He didn't want anyone else to show him a house but me. He liked me, he trusts me, whatever. And so I kept doing this, and he would spend an hour in every house, even if he had zero interest in it. He was one of those detail people. Finally, we got to the point, we were getting close, and I looked at him and I said, look, I don't know what to tell you, but you are going to get divorced. You will be happy again. I know this is not what you want, but you must start your life again, and you need to move on, and you need a place to live, and you need to pick a house. And he looked at me and he went, okay. And this was it. And that was it. Right. So I felt like, am I qualified to do that? No, but I did it, Well,
it's also, look, in real estate, I don't think anybody can sell anybody a house. I really don't. I've had people work for me over the years in my brokerage that, they would sell a house and then more than half their deals would fall through in the first week. buyer's remorse. No, you tried to sell them and you forced them to sign something. Because we're not selling cars here. We're selling lives. Lives is really what we're selling.
Right. Right.
And it affects a lot of things. The only thing that you did was you just had that heart to heart, come to Jesus kind of meeting and said, look, this is what's happening. You need to make a decision. Just do it. And that is something that is very soulful and very mindful of you. And that's where more agents need to be, as far as, as I used the word cheesy before, and we seem to be more cheesy. And most agents, Ruth, I believe, would come out of that and say, this guy just won't buy a house. And all they do is bitch and moan about it rather than actually take the offense. We're not saying, and I'm not saying go after these people and push them. I'm saying, look, understand the situation. If you've built rapport right, you've built the first relationship right, you've got a right to do that, right?
Right. And I think that's exactly it. And one of the things that I teach is that you have to listen. If you don't listen and you just want to talk and get them to buy something because you want to make money, you will have some success. I'm not saying you won't, but it's not going to be the same, and you may get exactly what you said, buyer's remorse. And will they call you in 2 years when they want to buy another house? Probably not. And there's more to it than that about the calling in 2 years. You've got to follow up with them and care about them and be integrated into their life, give them hints, act like you care about their investment and all that stuff. Just not to act like you care, actually care.
I know what you mean.
Right. Yeah, I thought like, oh,
So one of the things I want to talk about too is you make a difference in people's lives with the coaching and in the manner in which you do it and you mentor. So we talked about some pain points. We talked a lot about mindset, which is really, really important. But I want to get into the nitty gritty with strategization, strategies, and organization. Talk to me about how you put those two together with your mentees and your coaching clients.
Well, this 99 steps process, although I would sometimes debate that it's not in the correct order, that's because there's pieces that can move around in there. I basically say there needs to be a system. I'm just a list chart kind of person. So, and always what detail oriented. So that's where I start from, that you need those things to do your job and a method to follow, even if there's blurred lines between each part. So that's what it does, is to talk about. And I'm big on what's legal and what's not legal. Like, as you probably know, and I doubt if it's different in New Jersey than Colorado, as far as how much integrity do realtors have sometimes? They bend the laws and the rules. I mean, I with dubious saying this on a nationally recorded thing, but I've there's agents who would bribe a buyer to buy something because it's in this market, or bribe a listing agent because there are 10 offers and I want my offer to look the best. I don't do that. And the writing in Colorado, you can't write multiple offers on for one client at one time, and people do it all the time now in this market. And I try to just present what you can and can't do.
Right. Right. 100%. So is there a difference in strategy for agents that you work with, or is it the basic grind, lead generate, follow up, the whole
thing? No. I try to cater to their personality, because everybody's different. There are people who will make cold calls, and one of the reasons I've done all these things is that I know what it's like to do it, and I have an idea of whether I don't pass judgment on how well it works. Right. If someone wants to try something, they want to knock on doors, they want a cold call, I've done all that. What do I think of that at this time in the world? I don't think it's that productive, and I would never do it now. But if you want to try it and you have a reason to try it, like, okay, if you live in your neighborhood and you want to walk the neighborhood and introduce yourself, go do. I talk about how to approach that from the specific person's experience, so that they can be authentic. Because I think if you come across as knock on the door and you give this canned speech, I feel like, well, what, someone's just gonna go, And that's my thought. So, but if you want to do it, I mean, I have one realtor that I work with that is very good salesperson, and um, I think that she could turn that into working for her in some places. I have other people who that would never, 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 never work. So, I have to be open to that.
Right. I think everything you put together here with what we talked about with mindset, or we talked about how, to approach different things in different ways. I mean, with your experience, I think it's uh, been really, really interesting and mind opening for me, and how it all should work together. If you had one or two things that you could say to an agent now in order to help them get out of being stuck or brand new, what would you encourage them to do? How would you encourage them to build their business?
Well, I think one of the things that this is growth mindset. Don't judge yourself from the past. Don't decide that you have failed when you have not failed. First of all, I talk about failure, and I talk about failure is the best way to learn anything that
100%.
you could possibly have. So
Right.
that's one thing. But if somebody's stuck and they can't seem to, get out there and call people or whatever, I help them, walk them through. Let's just try one thing new and see if we can master that one thing. It could be Instagram, it could be Facebook, depending on what market they're trying to get in. TikTok, I guess I'm sometimes very, very silly, but I did a whole experiment last summer with TikTok just to show a couple of agents who were young in their 30s what this could do for them. And how many people they could get, how many likes and follows I could get on my TikTok for following bunnies. Every morning when I went out to run, I did a bunny post, a video of a bunny. How many? Sometimes there was one, sometimes they were eating, they were sleeping, whatever. Anyway, so I think you start with one thing and you conquer one thing and not 100 things. A lot of times what I find that people need, again, I'm back to the chart thing, but I think they need to see a structure. What are
Right.
my five priorities? So I make them write that down, and then we organize that in a what's the most important thing. What can you do now and what can't you do.
Right.
You have to without feeling defeated. Don't say, oh, I can't do that because I'm not good at, like a lot of people say, I can't do video because I'm not good at that. And I thought, like, yes you can. I'm going to show you how you can do that.
Right.
And or they're afraid of doing that, whatever. I think one of the biggest obstacles that I see is people, and myself included, want a certain amount of privacy in their life. So they don't want to take videos of themselves doing all kinds of things, experiencing all kinds of things. And that's one where I try to show them what you can do videos of that doesn't violate that,
Well,
and
yeah, yeah. No, I get that, and I submit to everybody watching this, and to you and everybody else that will watch this, is that once you become a real estate agent these days, you are a public figure,
you
and
betcha.
you are a public figure. If you're not on social because you don't want to show your family, you want to show that, then don't do that. Right? There are so many different ways, Ruth, that you can do video, that you can do posts, that you can do personal posts, which I call lifestyle posts, that will show who you are and what you're doing. And it's just a fantastic way. Ruth,
Yeah.
we are this has been a great conversation in how to do things a little bit differently and to take a different look at it. And I really want to thank you for being on today and accommodating the time today. And how do people get in touch with you if they want to, connect with you, see how they can work with you?
They can message me on Instagram. There's my phone number. You can text me, love text. Just say where you met me. You can email me, ruthcatchenrealestate@gmail.com. Just have to make sure you spell my last name right, which seems to be challenging for some. And
Yeah,
that just to make sure it's right. And I'll get it, or ask Dave. And Dave
right.
will guide you to me. Uh, I'm happy to work with anyone. I think the method that I use is not just, although I'm Colorado law specific, I think it's general to anywhere in the country. And so I'm happy to work with people anywhere. Available by Zoom, obviously accommodating to early hours and time differences and stuff. So, you know, I love it. And I love working with people. Every single person is different, and so it allows me to have a different approach to them and their business, and that's what I love about it. There's no cookie cutter one size fits all thing, and so I'm loving doing this and getting to know all kinds of different people, you included, Dave. I mean,
Right.
after, you know, I found you found me, I found you, whatever, on Instagram, and look at what's happened. So there we go.
That's right. That's right. It's going to be. I mean, look, we've already collaborated a bit on everything we talked about, how we do things, and we're going to continue to do that. Everybody, I asked you to reach out to Ruth, reach out to me if you have any questions. And you know, structure, we said, I believe is, and you agree, is one of the most important things that we have to have. Ruth, I want to thank you for coming on today. Please stay on for a minute as we go off. Everybody, next week we've got a great guest coming on, a young 19-year-old real estate agent, George Castro IV. We're going to talk about what he's been able to do to crush his business. He is a New Jersey guy, and I happen to know him and his dad personally. We're going to have a great conversation with George. Thanks so much for coming on, Ruth. Thank you for everybody watching. And what we're going to do is we're going to go off here for a second. Ruth, I'll be right back. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye. Nice to meet you all.
Bye-bye.